Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Ratio1 Talks. My name is Mihai, and today we are joined by Andrei, Petrica, and Bleo. Hey, guys, welcome on in.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Alrighty, so another episode where we will be now putting ourselves in the shoes of a developer. We are going to sort of tackle the ins and outs of building something on Ratio1. And I think this is going to be a little bit fun because I will throw you the concept of a project and you guys will sort of explain your workflow on how to build something on Ratio1 from the beginning, from the main conception of a project all the way to launching it. Who wishes to jump in first is the fun question.
Let's have Bleo start for the first time.
All right. You're thrown in already, Bleo.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's start with number one, the idea of a decentralized game. Now, for example, let's say that instead of a centralized system where you have the servers, where you have the game, whether it is massive multiplayer online, an MMO, or some other type of game, more slow-paced or strategy-based, how would you tackle something like that?
Interesting question. I think that maybe not all games would be suited to such a system because if you need very low latency for, let's say, a online shooter, it won't work as well as a centralized server where is the lowest latency possible. But let's say the game is something like I don't know, Civilizations, where you have a lot of world building, simulating events, not such a fast-paced graphic. In that case, I think it could work. So in the case of a compute-heavy game, rather than a lot of actions on between the players at the same time. Now, how would I tackle it? Let's see.
I'm really curious.
You mentioned earlier, what was it? Not Catan or something?
Civilizations.
Civilization. There you go. Yeah. If we take the bare bones of the game, I'm partially familiar with it. Maybe you can correct me here. It's the idea that you start with a specific area and you then expand and evolve your civilization into a bigger land, more technology, more army, or whatever stuff you build, right? Something like that?
Yeah, basically at the start there are, let's say, 7 cultures, 7 nations, either bots or real life players. All of them do some actions, either development, attacking things, or whatever they do. And the planet itself, it evolves throughout the game, and you get points for various stuff. In this case, how you could tackle it being ran decentralized, I think very high level, you could have the simulation of one actor on one machine, and after the events done by that player are computed, let's stick with the example of 7 players. So you have 7 machines. Each machine is responsible for 1 player. After each player has their round, the results will be aggregated and the map will be updated for all of them. That is actually very similar to how federative learning works. So in federated learning, we have a bunch of sub-models that learn individually, and after each round, they aggregate their findings or how well they learned. and in this manner, the learning process is sped up and more efficiently when talking about the resources. Now about the deployment itself, uh, again, it depends a lot on the game, the engine, what technologies are used. But essentially, I think it would be pretty similar to how any game is developed and hosted.
So basically, hosting it mostly through the network. And now I have an interesting question, slightly obvious maybe.
Don't skip me from talking about games, please.
Oh no, you're gonna.
Me
you're
neither.
I
gonna
always
Me
turn on
neither.
games.
all right,
Especially
all right.
Due to the fact, especially due to the fact that I have to contradict a little bit Bleo with the first thing that he said about first-person shooters.
Ooh, okay, okay. We'll jump right to you after my small question here. Would the fact that it is all done in the blockchain, basically all the moves and all the elements that everyone did for that round or for that particular game session, would that mean that it's basically technically impossible to cheat?
Pretty much, yeah.
Because it's going to be on the blockchain. It's going to be in the networks, and no one can go back and modify things without it all being recorded in a way.
Yeah, you could say that. Or it would be very, very difficult to find mods or other hacks.
That if you also keep a trace, a register of your game on chain, it's important to understand, first of all, the deployment on Ratio1, which is something, and coupling it with on-chain economy, traceability, and so on. So those are different parts of a game. One is a deployment and having it in a decentralized environment and so on, and the other one is actually having the infrastructure to trace whatever happens in the game on chain. So it's important to understand this, Mihai, when it comes to developing games with these two technologies. That usually people take them together because we actually have a good synergy between blockchain as a source of truth and our protocol as a compute power source. But I think Andrei wants to jump to what Bleo said.
Let's see your part, Andrei. So what is your counter to what Bleo said?
So it's not a counter. It's like more like a completion. So picture this: you have a Unreal-based game similar to Counter-Strike that runs in a global mesh of decentralized nodes called Ratio1. And when you log into the main console, you are redirected to the nearest game room. So you have the smallest possible latency as well, combined with the best fit for your profile, for your gaming profile. You start the game, you connect to a very close location, you start the game, you play the game, and you get assets in the game, assets that are on-chain assets that are tied to pictures and visual digital artifacts that are saved via the R1FS storage system, decentralized distributed system. So if you log out and log into another room, in another location, you already have all the artifacts in the decentralized system. You cannot lose them because they're both on blockchain as well as within the R1FS distributed decentralized network. And literally, when you log in a game and you start the game and you get some items and so on, you also have the option to play against powerful artificial intelligence enemies, not the classical dumb NPCs. Artificial intelligent enemies that actually are ran by small language models, by powerful small language model, that will surprise you with their strategies and will adapt with their adaptation. They're not run by heuristics. They're not run by rules. They understand your playing style, and then they hit you when you expect the most. So this is all capable on Ratio1. It's all shooter. It's all action. It's all NFT based. It's all asset based. It's on chain. It's verifiable. It's AI.
That sounds really, really cool, and it actually does. I have two small things, and then Petrica is going to be your turn because I have maybe a challenge for you as well, but we'll see. I just want to open up the small little window that right now there is no game, and as this is as far as my research has shown me, there is no game right now anywhere in the world that is solely in a decentralized system. So the market is literally fresh on that direction, or maybe the challenge is
Exactly. Yeah. Most games are actually, they use decentralized assets, but they run in centralized ecosystem. They actually are centralized systems, centralized applications that have some kind of, let's say, so-called Web3 assets like NFTs, like I don't know, tokenomics, things like that. And you don't want me to say the B word, what I think about this.
It's actually funny you mentioned that. My research has also led me to bring up a game, Dual Universe. While it does have centralized servers, like the game is actually on servers. There are, exactly as you said, the idea of NFTs, your blueprint designs being in the blockchain recorded, and people buy them and sell them or trade them. So the fundamentals are trickled into games, but it's still very, very new. So this is still untapped potential.
Yeah, this is interesting. I'm gonna check it. I also have one final 10-15 seconds mention. So I totally agree with what Bleo says. When the system has to be massive online. So if the system is massive online and you have like thousands of players or maybe tens of thousands of players in the same server, then you need a centralized infrastructure. If you have, let's say, distributed servers, like I know, have you heard of Fallout 76? Fallout, yeah, Fallout 76. It's a massive online multiplayer game, but it's actually not that massive. So they have multiple servers, and each individual servers can host up to 25, 30, something like that, 50 maximum players on the world map. So this is a type of game that a type of multiplayer online, massive multiplayer online game that can be run in a decentralized infrastructure. Of course, if you jump from one server to another, you keep all your assets and all the things that you have and so on. And of course, they run everything in a clustered environment, but this can be run without any problem in a decentralized ecosystem, without all the risks of running it in a centralized center.
All right. Now we're moving to Petrica. You also said you wanted to take a turn at this.
Andrei is going to love this one. So the first games I think about when I think about Ratio1 are mostly slow-paced games that have maybe huge engines behind them for generative content. That's one thing I'm continuously thinking about. Also because we can host multiple players in the same time. Of course, it's not that intensive as a shooter or something that's high demanding, but the generative part that can be well distributed on the Ratio1 nodes has a huge potential. And now I will jump something between the physical world and the digital world. I would say what I will do, I would personally would like to do at one point, I would create an engine to create your own Dungeons and Dragons admin that always generates and keeps the tracking of the game for your players that are in the room and that are playing, and also that you can fine tune yourself, and you can even rent for people to try your type of gameplay, your type of experience, storytelling, and so on. And that can be done easily with all the aspects of the protocol, real ownership, having it decentralized, running a decentralized training in a decentralized environment, and so on, encrypted content, and so on. And another nice thing to have would be to have a game that nowadays we see a lot of games. They are very repetitive. They settle, for example, they settle a patch. They settle the map, the stories, the quests, and everything is fixed. What if the world continuously changes? What if you never know what happens the next day? What if the world actually is continuously generated by AI? So you are always surprised what you find the next day, and how you face the world, what threats come up, how times change, and so on, and everything, of course, being based on decentralized agents, and having everything, of course, stored in a safe way, so that nobody can actually take down and or try to bribe the system to get advantages.
So basically, building off your idea, the fact that you can also have like AI NPCs that actually change and influence each other or the world, or even somehow using, and this is just brainstorming based on what you said, the idea that, I don't know, like nodes, node activity stimulating certain world events, like the fact that the more nodes are being used, or the traffic is more intense, certain natural elements change, like it's an invasion coming, or a rain that makes things difficult and stuff like that. That would be very, very interesting. It would keep things dynamic constantly based on the ecosystem and
interesting
players.
In the same time.
Of course, yeah. Really nice. So we tapped into all types of content here. We had slower paced strategy games, we had role play games, and we also had the idea of fast paced shooter like or other types of intense games that would be able to be built on a decentralized network and can be developed into something quite unique, new, that hasn't been done before. As we've been talking about the idea of entertainment for quite a bit. Maybe we can also shift gears to something that moves more towards either volunteering or community or welfare of others. I know we've brought this up a few times in the past, the idea of the healthcare industry having a decentralized network to lean on for various things, personal data of patients and so on. But are there other elements that we can use, something that's maybe eco-friendly or health related, that encourages people to be more active or to volunteer for city elements or city maintenance, maybe something like that? Who would want to jump in with something in this direction?
I think I have a short example of this. One application could be, let's say, an application where you can report illegal stuff, let's say illegal cutting of trees, because it's a pretty relevant subject, especially in Bucharest. And in that case, it would be harder to mask certain events.
They would be recorded on the network and basically be time-stamped in that way.
Yeah, and it would be more difficult to mask the event itself. If it's, let's say, some important person that dodges the law a bit.
You know what I would like to see?
Hmm.
I would love to see the idea of social crowdsourcing. And let me tell you what social crowdsourcing is, in my opinion. Imagine that you have in Bucharest, or in London, or in Bratislava, or in Vienna, or in New York, a network of people who buy Ratio1 nodes. Who buy Ratio1? By buying nodes, I mean, but they buy license and they install a license on a Ratio1 node. But it is a node that has a certain set of sensors, like air quality sensor, like temperature sensor, humidity, things like that can monitor the environment. And you go there and say, okay, we have these hundreds of nodes in let's say tens of cities throughout the whole planet. How about racing and building applications that can run on any of those nodes?
Hmm.
How about you have the idea of creating an application that predicts some kind of I don't know, meteorological problem, meteorological related prediction. Somebody else can build something based on uh, water infrastructure efficiency. Somebody else can build something based on air quality uh, prediction based on social media information. And all those can literally run in a planetary scale decentralized ecosystem. And the whole idea is you can't do this without a decentralized system. You can't, it's impossible because you actually need an execution environment in multiple locations in the same city. And in that execution environment, you need to have access to sensors and you need to have access to a development stack that allows you to access those sensors and allows you to run your own application. And this will be something awesome because basically anyone, but just anyone, from companies to ONGs to small to non-governmental organizations, NGOs, to single programmers can have an idea for a social, impactful social application, and they can, like pilot it, and they can deploy it, and they can ask other people around the globe, okay, can you support deploying this application in 100 locations and things like that. And this will be very interesting. I mean, there are similar let's say initiatives where companies build specialized devices like IoT devices that have specialized software, embedded software for monitoring air quality or monitoring, I don't know, humidity and some kind of toxicity of various things like water, like insulation, and so on. But we are talking here about a system where anyone can develop anything they can imagine. They just need the location where to deploy it, an execution environment that can run literally anything, and access from any kind of software to all the to all the sensor that device could provide. This will be very interesting.
Yeah, that could lead to a lot of good and almost like improving the health style of not just your local area, but like it can influence global communication and global changes towards good. That would be something quite huge, actually. Um, I'm curious if Bleo or Petrica would have anything to build off of that, or maybe a different direction for this. It can also be something towards health or personal development. So it can also be for more personal gains, not just communal driven projects.
I think what I would actually want to see in the future is applications that offer personalized, accurate information on or development journey for yourself. Let's take the gym, and I think Leo will agree with this one. I would like, for example, to have my own agent that actually is fed with my blood tests and my data regards my body and so on, so that I actually get real best exercises and best weights, and everything is super sharp, so that I don't just do it on a recipe of a trainer that actually knows that's the way, and I actually get the best output ever. And it's not based on because that's how bodybuilders do it, that's how runners do it. I actually get what I actually need at that certain moment. Maybe I've been off for a while and I want to come back to running. I'm actually getting a check of my body, and maybe in that pause, maybe I had some walking. I'm not out of shape completely, and the roadmap to getting back in shape will be adapted based on real facts and not just people evaluating by eye and saying, okay, you might be able to come back to running a marathon in I don't know how many months, or maybe I can do it in 1 year or 2 years to be safe for me. So things that actually get data about yourself. Everything, of course, is run on your own terms, so you don't get to feed anyone's pocket by training a model of a big pharma or something, a gym a company and so on, so that you actually own everything you are doing. You just need a framework and a smooth way to deploy your own agent, and just keep it with you. And of course, I think all of us faced ups and downs when it comes to maybe training. I know I did. I did crazy races, ultra marathons, and so on. I had downs when I actually didn't train that much. I was more focused on career and so on. So you need to have a companion with you that understands where you are, and when you tell him, okay, I want in 1 year to be able to run a marathon, and he will be able to tell you, okay, you are not ready to have it in 1 year, or maybe he will say, okay, if you take this path, you will be able to reach in 1 year the state that you will be able to run it risk-free, let's say. So I think this will actually come up in the future pretty much, and I really want to see it, as I mentioned, something that everybody will be able to deploy it and own it, and not rent it from somebody else. For example, I know a big company having an application and just saying that you actually own your thing, but you actually don't own anything.
Yeah, that's something that's really hot on the news lately, especially what you said earlier about owning your data and companies owning your data and then trading it or selling it or whatever. The fact that we would have, if of course it is made on Ratio1 network, an application that helps you, guides you towards a healthier lifestyle, whether through exercises or diet, or based on your own personal inputs with all the tests and, as you said, all the data, and that information being yours. Nobody else can have access to that. Only you, and only your account, your unique element is accessible to you. Yeah, that would be cool. And I do believe that in a world where people are much more self-aware of where they're putting their data, who has access to their data, how many security breaches there exist in the world, I think it's very, very important to think more towards the lines of building applications where you have control of your own data, you have the security in mind, and that can only lead, or that can only come from more decentralization and more security. All right. Any other closing thoughts? Because we kind of are running out of time here. Bleo, anything you'd like to add before wrap up? You also, if I'm, I can say this, you have a very healthy lifestyle. You go to the gym, you exercise, you have thought out diet.
Yeah, I wanted to
Are
add...
you talking about Andrei?
Yeah, I
course.
also wanted to add something to what Petrica said. I'm not so sure, let's say, virtual personal trainer would work that well, at least at first, because especially the studies are done on not so much data. What I would see a protocol like Ratio1 helping a lot with, I think, is better collection of the data ran in the obtained through the running of certain studies. So let's say you have a certain training method that you want to test, but you test it on 20 individuals because you didn't have $10 billion.
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah.
A lot of research is done in that way. So you have 10 Joes or 1,000 people, but a lot of times you may not find results that conclusive. And also a lot of times people are doing the basic stuff wrong, and that is solvable just by talking to a personal trainer or working with one, if that personal trainer
That's
is...
called fake research. No, that's called fake research. And actually, in medical sciences and of course the healthcare in general, and that means also wellness. That has been always a big issue, because they have like unreal population, like exactly like you said, 50%, 100%, 200%. Those are more like focus groups for qualitative research rather than quantitative research. So they are doing quantitative research on focus groups, literally. And this is unfortunately something that has been for a very long time promoted in healthcare. And we actually have cases of scientific fraud based on these subjects. So besides the fact that you have a very small population, you can't even call it a population. It's more like a small sample. Besides that, you also massage the data, right?
Yeah,
In such a
basically you
way,
can take any assumption you want, choose 100 people and manipulate a little the data in order to get your assumption right.
exactly.
A little.
In general, I don't think I would call it necessarily fake research, but I think it would be more useful if those 100, 1,000 studies, which all had 15 to 100 people as test subjects, would come together in order to have more various population and to better observe the outcomes.
Well,
So not fake research, maybe incomplete research.
Yes, it's fake research. Let's
It's fake
leave it
research.
like
I
that.
was going to say the same. There are a lot of studies out there that you just need to check who is paying the research. You just need
Oh,
to.
that's a whole lot of can of worms.
that's a different conversation that we will probably save for another talk. But right now, we do need to wrap things up. Thank you guys so much for another awesome chat. This was very fun. I hope you guys liked the questions and this mental exercise of what is the potential, what we can build on the network. Thank you everyone who has watched. Thank you everyone who is hanging out with us in chat, and we will see you all next time. Take care everyone. Goodbye.